Hey, coming to ya live from WRUE in Tennessee. It's the Scribbling Woman.
Hi, I'm Nancy Rue. I am a scribbling woman, and so are you, and that's why we're having this conversation. Here, we talk about the writerly life that is unique to you, no matter your age, your season, or where you are in your creative journey. You are now an official Scribbly, so let's chat. Pray correct me if I'm mistaken, but I sense a diminution of that restless ardor for living that is so noted a characteristic of yours. That is the opening line of Elizabeth Peters' novel, Lion in the Valley, and it just makes me want to hug her, only she's passed on. But I still want to hug her, because she has described in one line of dialogue where every one of us scribbling women has been at one time, or will be in the future, left without our usual ardor. Of course, it would be great if the writing always flowed like a steady, brilliant stream. If our minds were constantly teeming with fresh, unique ideas, if we had endless energy that could barely be contained, if we were so continually motivated we couldn't wait to get out of bed in the morning, even when it's 3 below and the wind is howling out there, that would be great. It's also about as likely as us winning the lottery twice. Every scribbling woman will hit a point somewhere in her creative journey when it feels like she has flatlined. Every paragraph she manages to write reminds her of a dial tone. Remember those? There are no new ideas. Instead, her brain feels like a bowl of porridge. And as for motivation, she'd rather clean the mildew off of the shower curtain than try to write a sentence, much less an entire novel. It's hard in those seasons not to see that as the end, not to completely lose the point of what we do and why we do it. Not to toss our work in progress into the fireplace and watch it burn. Now, far be it from me to tell you what to do, but if and when this happens to you, do not do that. It's not the end. There is a point, and you don't need to turn the product of your creative pursuit to ashes. What you do need is a writing defibrillator and some follow-up therapy, because there is no DNR order for a scribbling woman. So just for today, I'm going to be Nurse Nancy and offer a 5-step writerly recovery plan. Even if you don't need it now, someday you might and probably will. RX number 1, who's on your rapid response team? You do have one, don't you? If not, be proactive and assemble one at once. It can include a writerly playmate like we talked about in episode 32, and a beloved who is always waiting beneath the crazy tree. That could be your partner, your BFF, your sister-in-law. And that unlikely person who always cheers you on. Could be the dog sitter that gets you as much as he does your labradoodle. Could be the barista at your favorite coffee shop who thinks writers are the bomb, and you in particular. Could be the Facebook friend that you've never met in person but has all the makings of a kindred spirit. No one has ever been defibrillated alone. Somebody has to hold the paddles and yell, "Claire!" Often, just saying to someone, "I got nothing and I don't know why," can lead you to the point that you've been missing. And so much the better if someone is holding your hand ready to say, there's your pulse. RX number 2, take immediate measures. Heart attacks, both physical and writerly, often happen when we don't take care of ourselves. So instead of continuing to drive forward and beat ourselves up because everything we write has the imagination of a comma, this is a good time to get our creative health back on track. What do you need to do? Do you need to stop scrolling through other writers' posts on Instagram in which they talk about how well they think they're doing, and then playing the comparison game that you can never win? Do you need to stop reading doom and gloom reports about the publishing industry? How only 20% of writers get published and only 2% of those actually make their living as writers? Do you need to stop studying trends that by the time you follow them in your writing, they've already passed? They are so 10 minutes ago. Look closely at what exactly shuts you down and avoid that. Maybe it's going to bookstores right now, listening to the people in your critique group whine, talking to that person who always says, but now that doesn't have to be forever. It's not like you can never go into a bookstore again. A heart patient doesn't have to give up her beloved fried pickles for the rest of time. She just doesn't do herself any favors by eating them right after she's experienced a myocardial infarction. RX number 3. Give your creative heart time to start beating normally again. Take a break until you're really ready to return to the page. Think of it as a convalescence. Can you take a daily walk until your body and soul feel alive again? Make yourself a coffee in the afternoons and stare into the middle distance and breathe. Have your nails done or get a massage. Let somebody else take care of you for just a little while. And change your diet. A steady diet of things that bring you joy and maybe have nothing to do with writing. Read great books that aren't in your genre. See a live play. Go kayaking. Play in the leaves. You are in rehab for an injured heart. Be gentle with it. Give it time to heal. Now, this is especially important if your flatline is caused by writerly trauma. Harsh feedback from a contest judge, a nasty review on Amazon, carelessly written comments by an editor, someone close to you telling you it's time to give up this writing thing and do something significant. You can probably fill in your own experience there. Rather than opening yourself up again and again to the very thing that caused your creative crisis, take care of that creativity. Let it come back to life. Nobody else gets to say you can't do this. RX number 4. Now look at your writerly lifestyle, the very thing that we talk about in every episode of The Scribbling Woman. Once we begin to feel recovered, maybe a new ideas tugging at our sleeve or sentences start to feel less like we're stuffing toothpaste back into the tube and we aren't dreading pulling the laptop out of the bag, it's tempting to jump right back in and pick up the approach that may have caused the flatline in the first place. It makes sense instead to consider why we ended up feeling uncreative and unmotivated and hopeless and write ourselves the appropriate and unique prescription for full recovery. We're already considered one crisis brought on by an outside force, but there are other possibilities. If you experienced your creative heart failure because you couldn't focus, couldn't concentrate in the middle of the chaos that is your life, isn't it time to claim a dedicated writing space and protect it with firmness? If your writerly heart stopped beating because you couldn't find the time to devote to its care, can you afford not to stop being available to fix every little thing for other people? Maybe start by naming 3 things you are going to say no to from now on. Doing your teenager's laundry, babysitting for your sister's kids when you have set aside writing time, cooking every night when somebody could order takeout so you can have a writing evening. If you experienced creative cardiac arrest due to lack of inspiration, it is essential that you take yourself on regular trips to the healing springs. Weekly jaunt to the library during your lunch break. A YouTube binge on videos that make you want to do all the things. A regular Zoom session with your fellow scribblies, limiting the time spent on wine with an H. And finally, RX number 5. When it is time to return to the writing part of your writerly life, start gently. Unless, of course, a vision for an entire series has come into your imagination and you can't rest until you get it all down. But in any other case, maybe start with journaling with a possible protagonist, going through your old idea files and plucking out something that doesn't make you want to take a nap, or pondering a book you wish someone would write because you need it, and consider writing it yourself. If you haven't already, find someone else who's in recovery and make the journey together. That can look however we want it to. Maybe it's a weekly 45-minute silent writing session on Zoom or Google Meet, or if you're fortunate, down at Starbucks in person. Maybe it's a daily quick check in via text. How you doing? Good. You? Yeah. Or establishing a 911 code that calls for a one-line response. I'm losing it. No, you're not. Thanks. We do all of that and more for each other in Scribbling Women Online, which is a free support group for writerly women. You can find out more about that at www.nancyrue.com/supporter. You can also watch it play out in the Footnotes collection of novels, 2 of which are available now. Again, find out more at www.nancyrue.com/books. And of course, you can come here every week because I always have the paddles ready. And until then, Scribblies, scribble on.